Everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Love and Light Show. And I would love it if you guys would let me know if you can hear both of us without me echoing. We were getting ready behind the scenes to make sure that Nathalie's beautiful, wonderful microphone isn't making me echo. So we are using the Be Live platform, and you have to definitely let me know when you join live or on the replay. We love to know who's on with us, who's engaging with us. And we have a wonderful episode for you today all about confidence. And I'm so excited to introduce your guest, Nathalie, and she's amazing. She's my personal theta healer. She's helping me do so many amazing things in my business, and I'm so grateful for her in my life and that she has this wonderful opportunity to bring a lot of wisdom and guidance into your guys' lives. So if you're unfamiliar with the Love and Light Show, we go live every Monday at 12 Atlantic, 11 Eastern, to bring different coaches and healers and light workers into your life, to make it so that you guys can have different modalities and tips and tricks and strategies and tools and exercises that will help you along your healing journeys, so that you guys can be the light that you want to see in your life, so that you can see different ways of being, different things that'll help you on your spiritual journey, so that you can be that change and heal yourself and give recommendations to other people. So we always love it when you guys like and share it out, recommend or tag your friends to watch it so that they can also get this wonderful knowledge. And I see that we have a viewer already. Hello, Chris. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And can you let us know if we're sounding okay? We want to make sure that the sound is good for your end as well. And I'm Laura McPhee. I'm a happiness coach and healer, and I absolutely love empowering women to live their dream happy lives. So I do that through life coaching and theta healing, and I typically work with people pleasers, perfectionists, workaholics, and caregivers so that they can let go of all the stress and worry and overwhelm that's going on in their life, so that they can release all that burden or heaviness that's been holding them back, those limiting beliefs or struggles, so that they can live happy, healthy, and fulfilling lives, so that they're consistently joyful and more peaceful and happy. And one of the ways I do that is through group coaching program, which I'm super excited for. More people are joining on live. Hi, Nick. Hi, Tina. She's a part of our group as well. Hope you guys are having a great day. And can you let us know if the sound sounds good? We want to make sure that there's no echo on the beautiful microphones on both ends. So yes, the Living a Happy Life program officially starts tonight. I'm so excited for doing that. If you still want to get in there, there's still a couple spots left, and it's all about your intentions and your goals. It's about setting healthy habits, having accountability over 6 weeks to make transformations in your life so that you can get where you want to be going and clear any limiting beliefs or junk that's been holding you back, so that you're not just blaming like failed willpower. Like there's so much more going on beneath the surface than willpower. And I'll be there in a group community to support you in this like wonderful, nurturing, transformative environment to ensure that you get to where you want to go. Awesome. Yes, I can hear you both. Lovely. Even with Mercury retrograde, I know you have to be so careful with your technology during Mercury retrogrades. But we're sending all the good vibes to it, so it'll be good for us.
Awesome. Sweet.
Awesome. So definitely share it out and encourage other people to join. This is a conversation, so if you have any questions in between, we'll be happy to answer them for you. And Nathalie, how are you doing today?
I am doing very well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be on your show. Like, what a pleasure.
And Nathalie is amazing, guys. Pardon?
I blush. You say I'm amazing, and I blush. Receiving compliments is actually part of being a goddess, and I'm learning. I'm creating that space to actually just sit with that. Mm-hmm. So I'm really touched that you feel that, and touched that you would even invite me to this program, which is really cool. And yeah, I've been working with you for like a few months, so it's kind of, it's a real honor and privilege, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, it validates the work that we're doing too, right?
Yes.
I'm really excited to talk about confidence today.
Yay! I'm so excited, and especially for all you business owners out there. I know that you can have daily confidence in your life, and then like owning a business is like a whole new can of worms of like your own self-worth and that self-doubt in your head. So how do you help people with that and having like the best confidence and helping them to unleash their confidence?
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, it's not just about confidence. It's about unleashing your inner goddess, that part of you that is like, I call it goddess rising. Mm-hmm. And I believe like Tina and everybody else that's on here has this part of themselves that's just ready to come out and play. Yeah. But, you know, it's one thing to say, I want to be an entrepreneur. It's one thing to say, I know my life purpose. And, you know, we all know that we are supposed to do healing work or coaching work or whatever it is that we're doing. but going out and actually doing it into the world is actually completely something different. So for me, it's about unleashing that goddess and allowing her to rise so that you can be yourself in the world. And, you know, I was listening to one of my old coaches the other day, and she's posted a post and she's like, isn't it weird that people have to be told how to be themselves?
Yep.
And honestly, it's kind of like we grew up with all of these layers, and that will chew away at our confidence, which is why I wanted to talk about confidence today. And really, how do you show up in the world? And the other reason I wanted to talk about it is because I've been talking to a lot of women in an enrollment conversation recently, and I asked them how committed they are, and they're like, well, I'm not at full 10 because I don't have that confidence yet. And it's kind of such bullshit that I wanted to bring that back into this conversation, because I think that everybody can have more confidence today. And we're going to go through an exercise on how to do that without having to do more, be more. It's just, it's about an energy. Yes. So that's really what I want to talk about today, and really start with the definition of confidence. We're going to do a little bit of healing work along the way, and we'll just see. And I would love for questions. If you guys have questions, say hello. If you like the topic, if you don't, like, right? Like, we just go from there.
All right. I'll definitely pull them up on screen whenever they come in.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead with what is confidence. So confidence, first of all, for me, the way I define everything is by tonality and by tone. So I am a coach, and I'm also a theta healer. So one of the things that needs to happen is that you need to know what it feels like to have confidence from a creator's truth and perspective. So would you like to know what it feels like to have creator's truth and perspective of confidence, that it's possible, that you know how? And if you do, go ahead and say yes in the comments. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to download that feeling into every one of your cells. And all I'm doing is being the witness. All right. And confidence is like this feeling of expansion. And actually, it's funny because abundance, knowing, self-worth, all of those things are really the same vibration, the same tonality. And what happens a lot of times is people are feeling like confident. They have to be like in the river. They have to be like drowning in the river, and they have to know how to swim in the river. That's when they think that they're really like, they have to be confident, and they're forgetting to be confident in just like the normal, like the day to day. And that's really what we really need to remember, is that that's the feeling that we have to be, is we have to be confident in our abilities to figure it out. You don't have to know how to swim in the river and like having all of those eddies, and like you're going to have all kinds of obstacles. You don't need to know how to manage them. And I think a lot of people feel like they have to be confident in order to know how to do everything. And the reality is that you don't. So like the best example I can give you is I used to want to write a book, right? And I was like, oh, I want to write a book. It'd be so nice. You guys ever had that? Yeah, you raised your hand, right? Like you thought, oh, it'd be so nice to write a book, right? But there's a difference between I am writing a book and I want to write a book, right? And so I remember sitting on this couch, and I was just playing around with writing, right? And I had this feeling, I'm like, oh, I'm writing a book. And that level of confidence that I was able to write a book went from 0 to 10. I didn't know how to write a book. I'm dyslexic. And it took me 6 weeks to write the story and 2 years. The biggest aspect for all of this was I got rid of the self-judgment. And as soon as I did that, my confidence went up. Right. When I just started to allow the words, when I started to allow the one step to happen after the other, it wasn't a question of, can I do this? It was a question of how long it's going to take. Right. You know, and I want to talk about business, because that's really what I'm inspired to talk about right now is if you're in your business, you might not know how long it's going to take, but unless you decide that it's going to happen and you stop worrying about if and when, you just take the next step and the next step and the next step. You know, really successful people, they're not thinking, is it going to happen? It's just, they just assume that their actions are going to lead to results. You know, and there's this whole manifesting thing, right? That's like, I don't know how, right? You don't have to know how. What you have to look at though is that because everything is a law of cause and effect. You take an action, you get a result. And, you know, it might not be the result that you're wanting, but it will open up more doors. And the reality is it's like intuitive. It's like healing work. You don't get the next piece until you actually take that next action and that next action. And if you could stop beating yourself up, your confidence can actually go up. And confidence you need, because otherwise you're going to keep yourself in self-doubt, right? And self-doubt is an absolute killer. Here's the deal with self-doubt and fear and all of that. That never goes away. I don't care how much healing work that you do. I don't care like if you've been in therapy for years, like it's never going to go away. What you have to do is you have to find a way to go, okay, I'm going to take the fear, I'm going to take the self-doubt, and I'm going to send it to the couch. Right. And I'm just going to send it away, because what happened, and you're going to choose to believe, you're going to choose to have confidence. Now, there's 3 mistakes that people make. One is they think they have to be like completely believing and completely confident before they take action. And that's the load of crap.
You can swear.
Know what I mean? Right. I don't want to swear. It's okay. I've had enough swearing on Facebook, to be honest. It's a load of crap, right? Because the reality is that when you're starting to walk, right, you're going to take a next step, you're going to fall 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. And it's the judgment and the fear of falling flat on your face that actually stops you from doing that. And the confidence is not in your ability to have it done. Your confidence is your ability to take the next step and to figure it out. Do you guys know what I mean by that? Is there any comments? I know that Tina mentioned something in the comments.
She said yes to your download.
Yeah,
and then Christy joined us. Hello.
So that is really like, don't let your fear of not knowing how to do something get in the way. And fear is really sneaky. Fear is like, it'll show up. Sometimes you'll be just terrified of getting online or getting really visible. And I'm sure you've had that too, right?
Oh yeah, definitely starting B lives.
When you're doing lives, you're like, okay, I'm getting okay for this one. And the next one, you're like, oh, right. But fear, that's like, a really obvious fear. And then there's all the other fears, which are like, that'll be like sneaky. They'll stop you from taking action. They'll keep you procrastinating. They'll keep you thinking that, oh, I can't do this because nobody's going to say yes. And really often when it comes to business, it's the fear of rejection that is really huge. It's really high.
Yeah.
And so if you judge your confidence based on what everybody else is thinking, you have a real problem. For me, I think this is probably the number one thing that's changed in my business, has changed for me, is that my confidence does not change based on what my client's experience was. Yes, I want them to have the best experience. Yes, I want to make sales, but that doesn't change that I'm me, that I can sell, that I can, that I'm a really good healer, that I'm a really good coach. So it's a question of bringing that back in, but you have to let go of what everybody else wants and thinks so that you can really feel that. And nobody else is going to validate you. It's something that you have to come from inside. Would you guys like to know what that feels like for confidence to come from inside?
Yes, definitely say yes in the comments, guys.
Sweet. And it's like you give it to yourself and the confidence will come. When I worked in corporate, I wanted people to like validate me, and I wanted to I worked really, really hard. I worked like 20, I'm like you, I worked 20 times as hard as I need to to get something done, right? So, and actually when I finally did like the best job ever, I didn't need their recognition. And it was just me going out there and being me. And I actually won the President's Award for Excellence.
Wonderful.
Right. And it was funny. I was like, I don't actually need that. I'm like totally cool without it. I know I'm good. And it's that place of trust and knowing. And we think that we have to do more, be more, and have more before we have that confidence. And the reality is that we do it. And 2, you need to get in the driver's seat and really start taking action, right? Because that'll create a feedback loop and raise your confidence level in your ability to get shit done.
Definitely.
Right? So 2, mistake. The second mistake people make with confidence is that they borrow it. And I had a coach once say, you can borrow my belief in you, right? Because my coach believes in me. And that's like borrowing confidence, and it's bullshit. It worked for a little while, and I see a lot of that happening, and it's great, right? You hire a coach, you get this whole boost, and I believe in my clients. I'm going to always believe in my clients, like otherwise I wouldn't have them. Yeah. But at the same time, if you are borrowing my confidence, you're never going to get your own. And what's going to happen is our relationship's going to end, and you're going to be like, well, I don't have confidence anymore. And your results are going to go like this. Right. So my aim is always to get you to the place where you believe in yourself and you have confidence in yourself. So do not borrow the confidence and allow yourself to bring yourself up to speed, because that's really where you're going to find your transformation. It's where you're going to be able to take that next step, and you are worthy and deserving of having that confidence. You don't need to borrow it against anyone else. I really hate that. I'm sorry. I'm speaking and I'm like, God, I really hate that. And I think that there's too much of that in the coaching world where people like just lend their confidence and you invest and it's all great. You get this really big high, but you never believe in yourself. And until you decide that you are okay and that you can do this work, you're going to struggle in your business. It's going to be a struggle to receive even, because if you don't really believe that you're worthy and deserving, or maybe you're only worthy and deserving because you invested in a program, right? What's going to happen when that program's over? You're going to be blocking the receiving, and the receiving is what allows the infinite potential. And, you know, I had this image this weekend, which is receiving is like, is really giving in some way, because you're allowing other people to give, right? And as coaches and healers, we are givers. We're natural givers. So it's really important to like bring ourselves back into that place of confidence, having our own confidence and our confidence and ability to receive, and having the discernment of what we let in. Because what happens is we end up like closing ourselves off to the rest of the world. So 3, if you want more confidence, let go of trying to be perfect.
Yes.
Pretty self-explanatory. I had a coach say that to us in a mastermind that I'm part of, and he's like, if you try to be perfect, your business is never going to work, and you're going to kill yourself in the process, and you're going to like beat yourself up. Be kind to yourself and stop trying to be perfect. You know, there's a question I heard on the weekend, and I actually did this morning. If you were already a 6-figure coach, and I asked you last night actually, if you were already a 6-figure coach, what would you be doing today? What would you be saying? How would you be saying it? And it's a really interesting thing to ask that question. So here's the thing. A lot of times I'm getting on a soapbox today. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I love it.
So often what happens, I think, with healing work and with coaching, it's really easy to fall in love with the modality and forget about the transformation. And it's easy to fall into that place of, I'm going to clear blocks. I'm going to clear blocks. I'm going to clear blocks. At the end of the day, you still need to step into and become that woman that you need to be to do what you need to do in a way that you will be able to receive what you want to receive. And it's like, it's almost like you adopt a new set of beliefs. And yes, sometimes you have to go through and you have to clear the blocks and you have to do all of that. But you also have to make a conscious choice to say, okay, I'm going to become that woman. And I love that question of, you know, if you were a 6-figure coach today, what would you be doing? What would you be thinking? Who would you be speaking to? So like for me this morning, I was like, well, if I was a speaker and I was being paid to speak, I wouldn't be afraid to apply. So I'm going to actually apply to do a talk. And I'm like, well, I need a referral, right? I'm like, who am I going to ask? I'm like, oh, I can ask this person and that person, right? Like I've done talks in a smaller group and maybe they'll say no, right? But the fear of rejection will stop us every time. So let go of the perfectionism. You will fall flat on your face, but you will move forward. And the only thing that will stop you is if you think you're not confident, if you're dwelling on the self-doubt, you're screwing yourself over. And you're screwing your clients over. And at some point in time, you're going to decide whether or not this is worth it. And you're going to go through that up until the point where you can really let go of other people's expectations. And it took me a really long time, by the way, even with all the healing work. And it's a work in progress, right? It's not like you do healing work and you're done. It's a progress for the rest of your life. And I know you and I talked about that, where it's kind of like frustrating. It's like, when does it ever end? It doesn't. Right? But it does get easier. And what changes it is more onions, right? And what does change is that you come into yourself more and you stop caring what other people think. And so there is an up level. But even when you get to that stage, there is more, right? There's always more, because that's the nature of life. The law of life says that you want more, right? And that otherwise you're dying. So, and since we're living and we're alive, we're always creating more. All right. So do you guys want a quick tip on how to actually bring the confidence into your day today?
Definitely. Yes.
All right. This is called borrowing your confidence. All right. So I want you to close your eyes, and because confidence is just a feeling, right? It's just like gas, right? It'll pass, right? But that also means that you can go and grab the confidence. And so I want you to imagine yourself as a little kid and you wanted something. Maybe it was a bike or a balloon or a candy, and you asked your mom or your dad and you had this amazing confidence. It was like, I'm not going to take no for an answer. Just feel that. You know, that, of course this is going to happen. And I want you to imagine and bring that feeling into your body. And it's like an orange color feeling, right? Or maybe for you, it's a green or pink or yellow. And I want you to imagine like an egg, an Easter egg. And you're in this feeling, and I want you to bring that color into your day-to-day life now. And that place where you're not having that super big confidence, maybe you're afraid to ask for the sale or to show up on video or to do healing work or to coach because you had a bad experience. I want you to bring that confidence into that and just expand it outward and see how that changes. Right? So I know for me, if I bring that in and I go into a video and I expand that outward, it's beautiful. And I know that I can bring a sense of peace to the situation. So how confident do you feel right now? I know there's one viewer on, and I'm going to ask you, Laura, how do you feel? How was that for you?
Good. I love that. It like really picks you right up.
It does. And, it's funny, like I've been working on the feeling of abundance recently. And not just financial, but just like, so I went back to a time where I felt like the universe had like tapped on and like turned on all the taps. And I'm like, and I just go back to that and I bring back that feeling into this moment and I expand it into my day.
Awesome.
It's kind of cool. So I'm going to see what happens. So that's really what I want to talk about today. I don't know if
wonderful.
Like time or do you have any questions?
Yeah, definitely let us know if you have any questions in the comments below. Yeah, we have like 7 minutes left. So do you want to talk about your story as well so that people know kind of where you came from and how confidence has helped you throughout your life?
Yeah, sure. So the story I'm going to share is, so I think for me, one of the biggest aspects was how do you communicate? And how do you like hold yourself back? When I was 6 years old, I walked into my mom and she was in the house and my mom was sitting at the kitchen table and she's crying and my dad was like trying to console her. And, as a 6-year-old, what she was saying was her kids failed grade 1. And so my brother and I failed grade 1 and because we're twins. And I felt like I was not worthy and deserving. And I really stopped having a voice. I really stopped communicating. And communication was that thing that really stopped me throughout my whole life. Everything was always blocked. Like my dad would say something and then I would say something back and I can just even see myself like shrinking, right? There was moments where, it wasn't, I got pinned against the wall and I can still see myself like outside of my body. But that feeling of not being able to speak and not having the confidence it's not just about the voice. It was about the whole expression of who I am.
Right.
And so when I was 32, I lost a friend to suicide, right? I decided I'm going to be confident. I'm going to go out and date. And unfortunately, he ended up committing suicide. But what that did is it forced me to start to look for more. It started me to look for a better way to live my life. And it took me 5 years. And it's interesting because it didn't happen in the way that I thought it would. Like I didn't think it would. I thought it would happen in the external validation. And really it happened in a spiritual circle. I was sitting down and I heard, I was hearing spirit for the very first time. It wasn't the first time, but it was the first time that I actually acknowledged it. And I found my voice that day. I found my connection. And through that, I started to express it. And it was a process. It wasn't something that just like, right? But that process of connection allowed me to find out that I was whole, I was worthy. And I started to really start to express my own gifts because it was the first time that I really had allowed that. And I had gone through the process of learning how to communicate. And I think if there's one skill people need to know is how to communicate, how to listen. Most people don't know how to do that. And so coaches they just do it so naturally, but it's a question of how do you bring that in. And so for me, it was having gone through that and having found my voice and then just taking action and expressing that one step after the other, and it's about releasing whatever is holding you back from your true expression. For me, it was a physical thing too, right? Like I had a goiter on my thyroid and the goiter was the size of a grapefruit.
Oh, wow.
So like, that's a pretty big thing, right? And I was like, oh, it's like a lump, right? And it turned out to be cancer. But when they took that out, I also found my spiritual connection actually increased tenfold. And I was also able to express more. And what's funny is that I didn't want to tell my family that I had this, then I actually didn't tell them. But I told everybody else, like everybody that didn't really matter. And what I found was my boss, actually at the time, well, not my boss, but a friend of mine's like, I'm taking you back on my team. I'm not giving you a choice. He actually controlled my life. And that was my biggest fear, that I would be controlled by this. But I got to learn my voice. I got to claim my voice. I also got to work with the biggest asshole ever. And so actually learning to speak up and learning to say no and put boundaries. So there's like a whole evolution in the voice aspect. But that led to the confidence. And I think the last piece for me was really the piece, I'm really going on this story. So it's, I'm sorry.
It's so cool.
So for me, the last piece was really like throwing a business together is like a Cracker Jack box, right? Like you shake it and you see what the hell comes out. And it's hard, right? Like everyone says that it's easy. And like, just put in a funnel. It's so much more than funnels. It's about unleashing your confidence, unleashing your boldness and all of that. And for me, one of the big challenges was caring what other people think and really letting that go and being okay with that. And it's a really hard one. You know, people in their 60s and 70s, they don't give a shit. Right. And like, you think they're rude, but really it's like, we need to bring that into our day to day now, because really the only thing that we're afraid of is falling on our faces. You know, I'm looking for a job right now, which is, you know, and it's kind of embarrassing. I'm like, well, I'm kind of ashamed that I have to look for a job. Right. Like I wish my business was like super massively successful that I didn't have to. And the only reason I wouldn't look for one is I'm afraid of what they're going to say. And I'm afraid of what my clients are going to say. Well, fuck all of that. I still have to do what's right for me.
Exactly.
I'm still doing my business, by the way. I'm not dropping that. I
know.
Goddess Rising program. And this is my life's work. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen. And I think it's what it happens in business is people need to be willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen. And sometimes, you know, we are told that we, you know, just do this, do that. And at the end of the day, you have to go quiet. So that meditation practice, that self-care, and, you know, it's an act of loving. Like, you know, what are you doing to hurt yourself in your business? And what can you do to actually love yourself? And sometimes, you know what, it means that you have to go get a job or, you know, and I feel like this is not going to happen. Actually, I feel like this is the path is unfolding. It's just, this is part of the journey. And all I'm doing is opening up more doors for the universe and saying, okay, show me the way. Right. Because because we put so many eggs in one basket, it's not necessarily always the right basket. And, you know, we use our brains, but we need to go into our hearts. And I'm like, I don't really, sometimes it gets so hard that I don't really feel it. So it's like, how do you go back into that? And you start opening up more doors. Right. Letting go of the shame, of the guilt, all of that has been like the absolute best. And really loving myself in the process, I think, is really what the journey has been about. And learning not to beat myself up, because all these things that I did, that I listed here, the borrowing, the you're not good enough, all of those things come from me. Right. Like they're not part of that. What I'm hoping to do now is to get out of like coaching my type of problems and actually going deeper. So like, that's why I'm working with purpose and passion and really bringing that back. And like Goddess Rising is about finding your voice. It's about being whole and really healing that, but transforming that journey and then using the universe to manifest, creating that vision for yourself. Most people don't have vision, which is really interesting, right? Like even business owners, they have this like, oh, we know, like we want the next client or the next money. And really you need to have a bigger goal, because then you can start to look into who do you have to become? Who do you have to be? What do you have to like? How do you have to, what do you have to have in order for that to be in place? And it's also, what are you doing now to stop yourself from doing that? But that doesn't happen without that bigger vision. And it's a process. And then there's resistance that you need to let go of. And resistance is only a part of it. It's not the whole thing. But it's like, it's an allowing, for me, it's becoming that goddess rising in the world and finding your voice, finding your truth, finding that, and being able to stand in that without shame, without guilt. And if you do stand in shame and guilt, that's okay. But you acknowledge that, and then they get released. Yes. Yeah. It's so important. So that's what I do. That's my story. That was way too long.
No, I love it. It was so good. And Tina did say great exercise, so she appreciated it. I know that more people jumped on, so you can definitely catch the replay to get more of the awesome exercise goodness. And how can you guys have any questions with you? Yeah, definitely let us know if you have any questions. And how can people connect with you online? What are the different ways, your group, all the cool things that you're doing? How can they connect with you, especially with Goddess Rising?
All right, so I would love to invite you to a Goddess Rising breakthrough call to figure out where you are, where you're going, what's holding you back. And we basically finish those sessions with a clear path on what you have to do to move forward. And if it's a good fit between our visions, I might invite you into a program. Right. And that's really a question of what happens. But those sessions are really fantastic. You can go to www.nathalieguerin.com /apply and just apply for your call. Right. Like a lot of people are afraid like to apply and go on to a call. They're like, I'm going to be enrolled. Well, maybe. Right.
If it's the right fit.
If it's the right fit, go ahead, right? Like, so we just have those calls and then we go from there. It is an application process. So sometimes I turn down applications, but it's very rare. And it really is for anybody that is really driven. I like action takers. So if you're not an action taker, you're not really the right fit for me. You have to believe in some sort of greater power. Because if you don't, we're kind of like the work we're doing. Not really gonna
energy healing might not be the right thing if you don't have a higher power.
No, so that's that. And 3, you have to be. I want people to be a little bit self-aware and to have a dream, right? That they have this feeling that they're wanting to be more, to do more, to have more. Then it's definitely the right place. And if you think that the only thing you have to do is business coaching, you're in, and it's not working, and that it's time to start raising yourself into the Goddess Rising. It's a personal development, transformational journey. It's not about business training and business coaching. However, I will be addressing those questions as they come up.
Yeah, and I highly recommend her, you guys. Like, I started with a 2-hour call with her, and she cleared so much of the like shit that I had been trying to work on for like months and months, and like was chipping away at slowly. Like at the end of the call, I'm like, so what do you do? How do I get more? Like, what are your offerings? What are your programs? So like, she'll only talk to you if it's the right fit.
So the one thing that I really liked with you is like, you know, at the beginning, you're like, oh, I'm going to put my hourly rate. And I'm like, take that out. And finally, I was so proud the day that you took that out.
Yep, I deleted it off.
Right?
Yes. Because the transformations people get over long term is just so much more incredible than one-offs. Like, it's true. And it was holding people back to be like, oh yeah, I'll let you choose when you want to take your next step instead of committing to a big journey and transforming every step of the way.
You know, it's like the difference between like a massage therapist who works on the hourly and then a massage therapist who will work on a particular part of the body over a few months. It's kind of like you're going to get a bigger transformation over a few months. And the reality is what happens with energy healing sometimes is people kind of do the healing or they do the reading and they don't really feel it in that moment. So they don't really attach it to anything. So even if it helped them, and I had this happen, right? And it's so frustrating. Like you help them and then they go out and they get like 3 more clients or they get really unblocked and you're like, you did this whole healing session. They go, well, I did other stuff too. Right? It's kind of like, yeah, but it's part of it.
Right? It's holistic. It cleared all the different things.
Yeah. And you know, I like to, it's a catalyst. It's not the be all and end all. You still have to go out and take action, but that's true with all programs. So if you want to put it in the comments, I would love it, but it's nathalieguerin.com /apply. And let's just have a conversation. All right. So Susanna says something.
Yes. And the last one was, I will message you instead, because apparently it didn't make sense. So she has a question, so she'll be messaging.
All right. Awesome. Sweet.
Yeah.
All right.
And if you want to put that link right in the comments after we go live, just let it super convenient for them to click and get in contact with you. And you also have a group. Do you want to let them know about that as well? I'm a part of it. I highly recommend it.
It goes in there. All right. So I shouldn't say that. I'm trying to figure out what to do with the group.
Okay.
I'm hearing
Sounds good.
Go in the group today, but it's called Goddess Rising Tribe.
Okay.
It's really I'm really focusing it on women to find their voice and express their truth and live their passion and their purpose. I actually believe that most people have their purpose. They just are really afraid of it. And so it's like, how do you unleash that? How do you go to the next level? And part of that is confidence and not mistaking confidence with, I have to know how to do it. It's just trusting in your ability to figure it out.
Definitely. Wonderful.
Right,
well, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you everyone who's joining live. If you're on the replay, continue to talk to us. I'll be checking the comments over the next week or so, so definitely continue to let us know that you're popping on, how that exercise made you feel, and definitely continue to have the Monday Love and Light show as an awesome habit in your life to bring you up, to raise your vibration, and join us next Monday at 12 Atlantic, 11 Eastern, and I'm sending you guys so much love and light. Bye.
Bye.